Ahead for us on this Wednesday, keeping domestic violence victims safe. We're going to have an important conversation with Erie County's top prosecutor after some high-profile cases put the spotlight on orders of protection.
Plus, what happens next? Answers for a viewer after today's historic abortion arguments at the Supreme Court.
And helping feed those in need. We'll look at what a difference your generosity can make at our big Food to Families food drive, now just a couple of days away.
We're very glad you're with us, and we want to start today with a conversation that's been going on in our newsroom for a few days now concerning orders of protection and domestic violence.
Sadly, we see these types of cases all too often, but over just the last week and a half, there have been 2 local people charged with murder in domestic violence cases. Both of the alleged victims had orders of protection against the suspects. A little more than a week ago, we'll show you this man, Syed Nasir, was accused of stabbing to death his ex-wife in her home in Depew. Prosecutors say that attack happened just about a month after she got a no-contact order of protection against him from a previous domestic violence conviction involving her.
And then yesterday, the DA's office announced the indictment of Mohammed Mia, who prosecutors say went into the home of his estranged wife in Buffalo in October while she had an order of protection, then tried to kill her and beat her father to death when he stepped in. They are cases that are raising questions about the system meant to protect victims. And we're pleased to be joined tonight by Erie County District Attorney John Flynn. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks, Kate.
It's good to see you. We want to start with the question that a lot of people ask when they read about these types of stories. How do orders of protection help keep things like this from happening? I mean, you have to operate in the system as it exists right now, but a lot of people see this and it's pretty frustrating.
Correct, and it's frustrating for me too. There are basically 2 types of orders of protection. The first is a non-offensive order of protection, where a judge issues the order that says that the 2 people can live together, come together, hang out, but you just can't do anything offensive to that person. The second one is a no-contact order of protection, which is an order by the judge that says you cannot have any contact with this person at all. In the 2 cases that you mentioned right here, the victims both had full no-contact order protections issued by a judge. And quite frankly, the only way that we can prevent the individual from breaking the order of protection is if you put that person in jail. There's really no other way. So again, a lot of times, if not all the times, when you have these order protections, the individual will have a previous case or a case pending. It may not be a serious felony case, though, where bail is even authorized or legal to put on that person. So if the person is out on bail, pretty much all we have are the piece of paper signed by the judge.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, because knowing that you're under those kinds of constraints, what is the message to people out there who are in domestic violence situations? Because certainly it would be understandable to see these kinds of headlines and think that seeking help won't come to anything. You can bet there are abusers out there saying exactly that to their partners, and it's an awful phrase, but I've heard law enforcement say that a piece of paper isn't going to stop a knife or a bullet. So how do you respond to that? Are there any preventative measures that might help to be able to kind of get ahead of some of this?
Well, I agree that a piece of paper is not going to stop a knife or bullet. I agree with that totally. The deterrent that we have is that if you violate the order of protection, it could be a felony charge. So, that is what we hope is a deterrent, that if someone violates the order of protection, there's a legal one in place, and you disregard it, you potentially could get charged with a felony, that being an additional charge. And again, if you violate an order of protection, that is a bailable offense, meaning that if I arrest you and prosecute you for the violation of that order of protection, I can ask the judge for bail on that and get you locked up. So again, that hopefully is a deterrent. A lot of times, though, to be perfectly honest with you, it's not a deterrent. And obviously, in these 2 horrific cases right here that you just highlighted, they were not a deterrent.
Yeah, these two cases really do stand out, but we know that there are so many others that don't make the headlines. We wonder what you can tell us about the trends that you're seeing with these types of crimes in Erie County. And we also know that there are a lot of resources out there, places like Haven House that we've highlighted a lot, but also what support your office provides to victims of domestic violence.
Sure. Well, we obviously have a great amount of support for domestic violence victims, both in our office and outside our office. Places like Haven House are wonderful. They serve as a center, quite frankly, for multiple needs for domestic violence victims. In our office, Michael, I have about 15 support staff in my office who do nothing but serve victims of not only domestic violence, but all crimes. So the resources are there, the help is there, but unfortunately, again, we don't have anyone that can obviously stay at someone's house full time to guard them. There's no mechanism in place that when a victim goes home, and even if an order of protection is issued, that someone is going to be able to protect them all the time. And again, I recognize that. I deal with that, like you said, every day on multiple kind of cases, not just domestic violence, but even witness intimidation on other types of shootings and homicides. Unfortunately, there's no mechanism in place where someone is entitled to an armed guard or someone to actually be at their home 24/7 to protect them. And again, you're relying on a sheet of paper that you hope can carry the day. And a lot of times it does. To be fair, Mike and Kate, a lot of times orders of protection do work. These two cases right here that you highlighted, they obviously did not. But listen here, I had 13 domestic violence homicides in 2019. The majority of those domestic violence homicides, there was not an order of protection in place ahead of time. So not every domestic violence homicide that occurs is there an order of protection that's already in place. A lot of times there's not. And a lot of times when there is an order of protection in place, the person doesn't violate that, okay? They don't go near the person, they don't call them, they don't text them, they don't harass them. So a lot of times they do work. Unfortunately, though, not every time.
Finally, one more note here tonight. We know that you cannot comment on criminal charges until there's an actual indictment that is made public. But the breaking news this hour is that longtime Democratic political operative Steve Pigeon will turn himself in tomorrow on state charges. The Buffalo News saying that your office investigated this along with state police. Again, we know you have limitations on what you can reveal, but can you comment at all on what charges he will face here?
I can't. I cannot either confirm or deny that. Let me kind of give you a little law school 101 example here. And again, I'm not saying that the example I'm going to give is pertinent to this charge, allegedly charged, or any charge at all, okay? But for example, if anyone is indicted on a sealed indictment, all right, it is illegal, quite frankly, for anyone to talk about information in a sealed indictment. So again, I'm not confirming or denying there is a sealed indictment. I'm not confirming or denying anything is going to happen tomorrow. But again, just giving you kind of a law school 101 example, if there was a sealed indictment out there, all right, it would be, quite frankly, illegal for me to comment on it.
Yeah, we really appreciate that kind of explanation because obviously it's a question people are asking. We just so happen to have you here in studio tonight. That's a story that we'll be following very closely tomorrow. John Flynn is Erie County's district attorney. Thanks for coming in and talking to us about these domestic violence cases and orders of protection. Such an important topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate it, and we do want to add that if you or someone you know is in need of help, there are two numbers that you can call. There's Erie County's 24-hour hotline. It's 716-884-6000, and the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 800-799-SAFE. That's 7233.